Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Douglas Attila Jamali, and I'm the infamous Doctor Who. Today I'm going to be covering what's going on here in America so the rest of the world knows. Let's start out with Armageddon and how that came into being and what the current situation is. The United States of America is holding my and the Emperor's assets in the hands of Armageddonists protected by the police of America. I am a property owner and the richest man on the planet. My assets, not including the Emperor's assets, is $18 trillion. The Emperor's assets is an additional $220 trillion around the world. The United States of America is trying to assimilate these assets and use these assets to build weapons of mass destruction to destroy us all. Again, I say, the United States of America aids and abets Armageddonists in its government and in its people. So, let's get to this. When I was in the Embarcadero Center, I was pushed down the stairs by a San Francisco police officer who then kicked me off the property. They then filed papers to admonish me from the property. And it comes back from the courthouse of San Francisco. You can't admonish a man from his own property. Wow. Isn't that amazing? Right? So I got 6 other admonishments here in San Francisco for my properties, all which came back from the San Francisco courthouse. Unbeknownst to them, you can't admonish a man from his own property. So they've been using my money to do a vast number of things, and let's start out with what's my money being used for? And it's some really ugly shit. They're sending the canines and felines into extinction. They're using my money to purchase and buy up all of the Cocker Spaniel females so that as a insignificant dog, they feed them to their pit bulls, causing a full extinction of almost all canines of the smaller breeds and other breeds, the Yorkshire Terriers and others. They're using my money doing this. So I want to bring forth that they're on the brink of extinction, and I need you to help me and make sure that these men don't buy up these females and extinct the canines. I want to remind everybody, what does Cocker Spaniel sound like that? Sound like backwards. Loving dog. And Pitbull, man's friend. What's Doberman Pinscher sound like backwards? So I want to make sure all of you understand that the canines are on the brink of extinction by this man who's the ugliest being in the universe they created. That fucking asshole. As you well know, in the movie 1955, The Day the Earth Stood Still, you know this fucking asshole must be dead, don't you? As well in Final Fantasy VI, the one on the moon, trying to destroy everything. So I stand here on the stage and asking of the world to come and pay attention to this, right? That we have a serious, serious problem. Okay. So they're also using my money to do some other things. I'm talking to my phone. You understand? That man sent here by influence to interrupt my show. Cause a problem. The other night, trying to get my phone to prevent me from broadcasting, they strung on me. And luckily I had my phone hidden. Otherwise they would have got my phone and everything else. They took my tripod, anything of value, and I was lucky to walk away without a broken jaw again. So, what they're also doing is, and here in America, they've taken over all of the forestry. And they're using my money to cut down and clear cut all of America. They went into Big Basin and went into Armstrong Redwoods with false work order that their trees are diseased and went straight to cut down all of the old growth. Along Highway 89 from Truckee to Tahoe City, everything 50 feet from the road is cut down. Clear cut. Everything there. So they're taking that and trying to make acid out of it, shipping it overseas at a price in which they're selling is less than the cost of what it costs to cut down and send it. As Armageddonists, they don't care. On top of that, they have gone to Yosemite and set fires and more. There are 40 million antimatter devices that they deployed inside of Yosemite Valley. And over a period of time, antimatter devices require energy to contain their source. And at some point, unless taken care of, they all have a containment breach and send Yosemite into the black. On top of that, what else? They have sent false work order to Dow Chemical to produce carcinogenic material now, which is a big mess, would extinct the planet 100 times over. That's how much carcinogenic material they made in false work order, and using my money to build such and make such. Isn't that ugly? So, let's see, what else we got here? COVID-19. What do you think COVID-19 is? What does COVID? 19 sound like backwards. Instant death. It is I that am the liaison as first contact and outside world, and I went to an American bioweapon, the Soviet and the Chinese, and brought forth COVID-19, the real COVID-19. If COVID-19 has been released on the planet, and by the way, it is an intelligent virus, it can choose to kill or not. But if released, in less than 24 hours, all life on the planet is extinct. Again, this moron goes and broadcasts on top of that. The emergency broadcast system of America costs 75 billion words, and COVID-19 is running random. The whole universe is here saying, you said what? And you still fail to acknowledge. On top of that, I got evidence that the United States of America is involved in the use of biowarfare, chemical warfare, and nuclear warfare. Did you see the whippet container? That's a nerve gas canister in which they painted whippet on it, and it had been breached. Everybody in San Francisco died from just that one canister. It's the wrong size. Check it out. It's the size of a nerve gas canister. All right. So in the simulation of my property, they made every bank in the world and America insolvent. They assimilated my properties and took out $25 trillion in assets on secondary loans on false revenue. My assets had, at that point, anywhere from 8 to everything less than 8 GRM. And they took out $25 trillion in asset on my property in secondary loans with false witness thereof that they were producing income and now sit at a 40 GRM. With that being said, every bank in America and every bank in the world with that is now insolvent. So, the American dollar is worthless. American Treasury bills, worthless. I've taken over the stock market and bought every seat on the New York Stock Exchange and moved every company in it offshore. You're now only playing with, 6% of the asset of the American New York Stock Exchange. The rest belongs to me. I own 94% of all the stock on the market. So with that being said, I will say that as I have been designated as a representative of the Fed, and with with the renouncement of my citizenship, declaring the American government an invalid government and its currency now an invalid currency, is not to be traded at any level abroad. In fear that they would use the gold in Fort Knox, in which I have all of the $500 notes and the $4,500 in it. The only gold in Fort Knox belongs to me. The rest I took legally. The government's been hiding it from the people, to make sure that they don't use those assets and the $25 trillion and my properties to make weapons of mass destruction by Armageddonists. They use that to purchase and find somehow plutonium and start building a fast breeder, unshielded plutonium reactor here in San Francisco. A doomsday device, and if it had gone live, it would consume the entire planet in its consumption of turning everything on fire. Then we make sure this is recorded properly. Okay, I'm going to pause. Alright, I'm back. So to make you understand that I discovered, and I'm the one to discover, this fast breeder reactor. And with that information, getting it out, I brought 5 regions here to make sure that that reactor never goes live. There are 74 other reactors like it worldwide, and that produces the plutonium for them to destroy the world over and over and over again. By keeping those reactors off, I have staved off all of Armageddon, for that reactor would produce 1 million warheads an hour for 4 months. And then they would demonically possess people's bodies to go inside of that reactor and farm out the plutonium. Imagine. What would you do if you were me? So, back to bio warfare. The United States of America's government was told not to engage ever again in this arena. The only thing you will find there is that, as well as China. So, that means that our biological arena of warfare and its information have been compromised. COVID-19 should not be public information at any level. And what's going on there. And again, that brought all of the universe here. When you broadcast it, COVID-19 is running around. So I'm going to end this broadcast with that. And I need your assistance here in San Francisco. As I, one man who has declared war upon his country, have been denied my right to freedom of speech, and denied every one of my Bill of Rights and amendments to the Constitution. And what's going on? Once again, my name is Douglas Attila Jamali, and I'm an architect of peace.